Good evening. We're going to call the meeting to order. We're going to begin tonight's meeting with invocation and a pledge led by Board Member Mac McCrae. If you please rise.
Let us bow. O most holy and eternal God, Heavenly Father, the creator maker of all mankind. Father, we come this afternoon, first recognizing that thou art God, and besides thee there is no other. As we deliberate on the business for the city tonight, we ask that you will lead us and guide us. Let us remember that we're making a decision that not only will affect our lives, but the lives of all of the citizens of Boynton. In your name we pray. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please call the roll.
Here.
He's here. He's in the building.
He's in the men's room.
Okay.
Here.
Yes.
Here. Thank you. Under legal, we have a memorandum regarding rules of decorum.
I think the agenda backup speaks for itself unless any of the board members have any specific questions.
Tara, I cannot hear you.
She said the backup speaks for itself unless you have any questions.
Okay, Mr. Chair, I don't have any questions, but I am one that requested that this be placed on this agenda. The reason I requested it placed on this agenda was that we was getting losing sight on that we're supposed to be professional individuals that are sitting up here, and we're not addressing people properly, and that was bothering me. Also, we was interrupting people when they were speaking. We was not letting you recognize us, and I'm just saying we need to get some civility back up here on this board. And the reason I wanted all of this done before is that really that we need to recognize that personal names and all that stuff, we need to address people, like they're supposed to be, go back to the Robert Rules of Order for the decorum.
Anybody else have any comments?
Yeah, I do. Because sometimes they tell me I get a little excited, which I do. I'm a human being, and there's certain subject matters that I find are personal in the sense that I believe in something. Everyone has their own style and grace on how they articulate, express, and explain themselves. When you're an elected official, not everyone loves you all the time, some of the time, and some maybe never the time. So it's something about being a big boy or big girl, being able to accept what goes on, the bickering, the discussion, let alone occasionally the raising of the voice. I think like in every law or any piece of legislation, the purpose of it is an outline. And we all occasionally, and this is an open, we go across the line. As long as at the end of the session there's respect and dignity, then I feel we have upheld the law.
Well, since you're bringing it up, I'll just throw this out. I learned something a long time ago, and I learned it in reading a book from Robert Kennedy when he was the Attorney General, and he was having a discussion or argument with President Kennedy, and they were getting rather heated, and Robert Kennedy started cursing and screaming and said, damn it, this time you're not going to win. And the president looked at him and just said, I just did. Because the point being, once you start screaming, raising your voice and yelling and cursing, you can't think clearly. If you can have a different opinion, you can have make your argument, but once you lose your temper and you start screaming, yelling, you're not thinking clearly, and you probably lost the argument. I thought that taught me a lesson a long time ago, so I try not to, when I'm in discussion, I try to stay calm and keep my thinking straight so that I don't blurt out things that I don't mean. So I just throw that out for
I'd like to throw something out. That's an assumption. The point is no one goes into a discussion with the idea of getting into an argument. Yes, sometimes the voice is raised. Each person has their own style and grace on how they express themselves. Is one really right or wrong? No. As long as the end results is for the people.
Well, I put it out for what it's worth. Nobody has to accept it. Anybody else? If not, we'll move on to agenda approval. Are there any additions, deletions, or corrections to the agenda? Hearing none, is there a motion to approve the
moved.
agenda as presented? A second?
Second.
Motion is second. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Show the motion unanimous. Informational items, disclosures by board members and CRA staff. Start with Board Member McCray.
Thank you, sir. I have no disclosures, but I do have one item that I do need to address tonight, and that was that since we removed the two members from the citizens from the CRA board, it was stated in the newspaper that we had another agenda. I met with Vivian Brooks this morning, who's the director of the CRA, and I stated to her, I have no other agenda. I have no hidden agenda. My motive is not to remove her from her position. My motive is that we had to do some house cleaning that I thought was necessary. She and I were back one-on-one meeting, and she's delivering the information that I have been requesting, and right now everything is copacetic. I just want to state it for the record. I'm not on a witch hunt. Thank you.
Board Member Merker.
Yeah, since Commissioner McCray brought that up, I'm confused. The reason I'm confused is I can put myself in the position that I was the bad guy, in the position of former mayor, former commissioner, former CRA board member. Everyone here except me, that's me, David Merker, I voted against him. So I assumed that after a 4-1 vote, everyone said, hey, you're wrong. I also accepted the fact that that was the consensus of opinion. What I found out is what people thought was a contradiction, because as far as my understanding, and Tara, you're the lawyer, I'd like to know professionally, legally, ethically, what either board member Buck Buchanan or board member Woodrow Hay did wrong. The only thing, just like Woodrow and I have had disagreed many, many times, but he has a right to disagree and I have a right to disagree. I don't think anybody would say that Buck Buchanan or Woodrow Hay did anything ethically or legally wrong. So therefore, I find it amusing that those who voted for these people, for some godforsaken reason, and still it has not been explained, I'm still looking for the rationale and the reason on what they did wrong, why they're no longer here. The issue was to be discussed, an independent board. But all of a sudden, guess what? That subject matter disappeared. It was no longer what we were supposed to talk about. It was the elimination of two people who also believed from their past history in an independent board. So I'm very confused. I'm supposed to be the bad guy because I voted against Woodrow Hay. So I find this totally contradictory, with no purpose, no rhyme or reason. And there must be, and I hope to find out, the underlying theme why this was done.
Mr. Chair, let me go ahead and nip this in the bud. It seemed like it's addressed at me.
No, not at all.
Sir, that's the decorum. That's what point of order.
Well, I just don't want to hurt your feelings.
You're not hurting my feelings. Point of order. Okay, I owe no explanation. What has happened has happened. I voted the way I voted. I voted the way the citizens of District 2 felt, and I am through with it. It's under the rug as I'm concerned. Thank you.
Board Member Costello.
Yes, thank you, Board Chair. I had a meeting with the Executive Director, Vivian Brooks, the other day, and it was a good, refreshing type talk. And I think we're both on the same page now. I think we have an understanding of each other a little bit better, and I look forward to this coming year working closely with her in a team-like manner. I'd also like to say that we've had several people put their applications in for the advisory board, which is very encouraging, is what we were hoping for, and it looks like that's come into fruition. So I think all good things could come out of this.
Board Member Fitzpatrick.
I have had no meetings relevant to the CRA in the past month.
I haven't either. I can't recall any things. I have nothing to disclose. CRA staff, Director, do you have anything?
No, just,
I have a
Wait a
question.
minute. Does
She said nothing, that's why.
No, she didn't. She still hasn't
Don't
finished
speak.
talking.
oh, let me get it out of my mouth. No, I've just had quite a few meetings. We've had some very interesting meetings on potential development projects, and hopefully you'll see some of them come before you in the next couple months.
Thank you.
May I,
Yes,
please?
good. Board Member Martin.
Tara, attorney, what I would like, since it was approved, I would like the definition of this advisory board. Who's should be on it, who they are, the job, and what's the relationship? Most important, what is the definition of the relationship between these so-called board members to be and the board that exists? It seems almost like a contradiction, where before you had the citizens voicing their opinion, 2 members, and you had the commission. And what was happening, which I thought was a very nice thing, was there was the togetherness. Now, all of a sudden, guess what? There's a word. It's called power. It's called being a dictator. That we, the commission, not only control the votes on the commission board, we now control the votes on the CRA board. To me, that's sad. That's called disrespecting the citizens. And the reason I say that, from people who want to be on boards, guess what? Lo and behold, as I look at Justin Katz, he's a young man and he decided to run for office. I applaud him and anybody else who could be new and wanting, let alone be a new citizen who wants to volunteer. So to create a board which hasn't been defined and approved by, which is mind-boggling to me, I think, Tara, that what we have to do is define the procedure, who could and should be on the board, and the timetable that we get this organized and going, because this was new to me. So that's enough of me.
I think we've, in the past, had a booklet or a procedure for board members. I think
Thank
we
you.
probably could look back, because I would like the CRA staff to put together a little pamphlet for new members to know what the purpose and direction of them, what there would be. So when they do come in, if they're selected, they'd have something to go by as a guide.
Mr. Chair, point of
Yes.
information, the city lawyer, which governs our commissions, which we make up the CRA board now, is in that process of making up the specifications of what the board members wear and where they would reside and some of the qualifications, and that's an ongoing process as we speak.
Thank you.
Isn't that our job?
Okay. Announcements and awards. Pirate Festival, first one.
Oh,
Good evening.
Good evening.
We have an announcement about Pirate Fest.
I think that's apparent. Good day, my lords and ladies and gentlemen. I, Henry Hyde, have come from the distant past to inform you and to proclaim to you all the 4th annual Boynton Beach Haunted Pirate Fest and Mermaid Splash. Thanks. My lords and ladies, this is our 4th foray, and last year was so successful, and it was all brought to you, all the entertainments thereof, by your Community Redevelopment Agency of Boynton Beach. And we have so many entertainments for you to enjoy. We have jugglers, we have acrobats, we have a wheel of death. Well, hopefully it won't be, but you never know. And it's a wonderful festival with mermaids and contests, music, musicians. People have come from far and wide to give you these entertainments absolutely for free. You can't go wrong. And therefore, I would like to say in conclusion, we hope that you come out. We hope that you enjoy our festival. It is a free, fun, spooktacular family event for all ages. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
If I could just add one comment.
Arg! Oh, you speak pirate.
Thank you very much.
The pressure's off.
Next
Okay.
one is Music on the Rocks.
Yes. Music on the Rocks will be on Friday, October 16th. We have Making Faces making a reappearance. The event takes place on Ocean Avenue Amphitheater from 6 to 9 p.m. This year, we're partnering with a food truck invasion, which guarantees a rotation of the food trucks each month and also markets our event. We have on-site parking, as always, and the Music on the Rocks concert after that is November 20th. We have a band is still yet to be determined.
Okay.
And I'll move on to Movies in the Park. On October 2nd, we hosted Movies in the Park at the Ocean Avenue Amphitheater. The movie that was featured was The Goonies. It was really very successful. Great weather. Thankfully, the fall has broken. The movie started at 8. There were about 250 guests at the showing. As always, we had a trailer for select CRA district businesses that was shown before the film, and those businesses donated gift cards that we had a drawing for. We also gave out Pirate Fest souvenirs. As always, there's food, snacks, and beverages available for purchase by from local vendors. And the CRA, as always, will continue to encourage local businesses to participate. This was the first Movies in the Park of this season. The next Movies in the Park is scheduled for November 6th, 2015, and we are featuring Back to the Future, and to celebrate the 30th anniversary of the movie. And we're hoping that there'll be an appearance by a certain time machine DeLorean. Hopefully. We'll see.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Mr.
Yes,
Chair,
go
thank
ahead.
you. Before we move on, I'd just like to say one observation. I am glad to see staff is here tonight. Thank you. CRA staff, thank you.
Okay. There was nothing pulled from the consent agenda. Attorney, do you need a separate motion to approve the consent agenda?
Yes, please.
Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Is there motion second? Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Children, motion unanimous. Under information only, anything, questions on the public comment log? Anything on marketing and business development campaign? Or anything on the MLK event? Hearing none, we'll go to public comments. Anybody in the public wishes to address the board on items not on the agenda may do so at this time. We ask you to give your name and address for the record. Try to limit your comments to 3 minutes.
Point of information real quick.
Yes, sir.
Did the recorder show that I showed up at 6:38? Okay.
We told him you were present.
All right.
Good evening. Thank you very much for the opportunity to speak. My name's Harry Woodworth, 685 Northeast 15th Place, just representing myself tonight. I'd like to thank the new, I'll say not attitude, but what we're hearing from the commissioners, the September 6th meeting stuff on YouTube, went back through all of that. A lot of sincere support voiced for the advisory board. We want it. We think the citizens are great, rah, rah, rah. I personally called probably about a dozen people this weekend to try and get them to apply their applications. I was asking them to do an unnatural act. I was able to prevail. My wife was the first one. I put one in. Several other people finally put them in. The way I talked people into doing that was, if this doesn't turn out to be sincere, doesn't have a timeline, doesn't have any kind of credentials to it, then we just withdraw our applications and say the heck with it. I tell you guys, the trust bucket is empty in this town right now. I beg people to put applications in. I mean, it was an uphill. It was worse than pushing a rope. It was like pushing a column of water. And I called and called and called, and a bunch of people told me to go to hell. And some of them I was able to convince. But I'll tell you right now, guys, if you're not sincere about this, please don't play with us on this. This is just, your credibility is on the line here. If you're really going to go ahead with that board, I would really like to see maybe a timeline, some guidelines on what you're looking for, what that board's going to do. And then we'll see if you actually listen to it. Because right now, I'll tell you right now, the people I talk to have no faith that anyone's going to listen to a word that board says. So you got a bunch of applications. You're going to get some more. We're trying like hell to get people to do it. But, man, it's about trust right now. Thanks.
Anyone else wish to address the board at this time?
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I'd like to address what the president of Inca just said. I was at church on Sunday, and I had 5 individuals who approached me and said that they are willing to serve. So I kind of beg the difference. I'm just saying we do have people that are stepping up to the plate that want to serve. Thank you.
Thank you. Seeing no one else, we will close the public comments and go to old business. Consideration of preliminary site plan for the Ocean Breeze East development.
Thank you, Chair. Louis, do you want to come up to the podium and make your presentation? We just wanted to bring this to you so that they don't go too far down the wrong path. We have met with CRA, city and CRA staff met, going over the plan with Louis and some of the more technical aspects of it. So he's got a lot of direction. He got a lot of direction from us. But we wanted to make sure that, hopefully it all worked. We wanted to bring it to you so that everybody's understands the momentum, because if they are awarded the tax credits, it has to move very quickly. So they don't have a lot of time to go back and forth. They're trying to line it up so it's ready to go if they get funded. So, thank you, Louis. And say your name and address.
Thank you, everyone, for having me this evening. My name is Luis Castellon with the Relator Urban Development Group. Address 444 Brickell Avenue, Miami, Florida. Like Vivian said, we had initial meetings with zoning and public works and whatnot from your city to gather their thoughts, their criteria, that their vision for Ocean Breeze East, and based on their comments, we're going to be doing some additional site planning. We wanted to bring this to you today to get your thoughts and your input, so that we can also incorporate your thoughts and your input into whatever modification we may be doing to the site plan. So, as you guys know, the project site is boundaried by Seacrest to the west, Northeast 7th Avenue to the north, and Northeast 1st Street to the east. The proposed project is approximately 101 units. The vision for the project is to create a unified complex, approximately 3 stories, garden-style product, internalize the parking so it is visually screened from all streets, create some retail space along Seacrest to bring local small businesses to the area, but also create a nice private entrance through Northeast 7th into the complex, so that we're not mixing, the retail traffic with the everyday residents that will be living here in this community. The community will have a mixture of 2, 3s, and one bedrooms, 2s, and 3 bedrooms. It will also have a community center with a multi-purpose room, computer library, fitness center, and a tot lot area to the rear of that community center. We were proposing almost like a little small pocket park for dogs and whatnot, but city has challenged us to possibly get rid of that and put that towards more of a green space in the back of the community center, so that there's some more area for kids and families to play. So that's one of the suggestions that we're taking into consideration. Maybe
Excuse me, I'm going to stop you right there. I'm glad the city said get rid of the dog park. I'm going to suggest that as well. We need more green space. Thank you.
I thought that was a good comment, and we're definitely going to incorporate that. Thank you. So, basically the along Seacrest on the ground floor you have retail. The other additional 2 stories above that will have residential. The 2 buildings to the north, to the top of what you're seeing in the screen, will be 3-story garden style, 2s and 3 bedrooms, and the building to the east will be an elderly building, all 1 bedrooms. So as you can see, we have a mix of uses here. We'll have elderly residents, we'll have families, and we'll have some retail. The look of the project is, garden style, low scale, very residential, to kind of respect what's across the street. We have single families across the street. They're very nice, and we're trying to keep that residential feel throughout the project. This is the ground floor example of what the ground floor will look like. Along Seacrest, you have retail. along Seacrest, residential on the rear. That's the ground floor. This will be the typical floor on that building, which will all be 2-bedroom units. This will be the ground floor on the north portions of the 2 buildings, Type B, which have 3 bedrooms on the ground floor, 2 bedrooms as well, and then steps back to have 2 bedrooms on the 2nd and 3rd floor. And this will be our elderly building. Obviously, it'll have balconies and whatnot, and the architecture will be very much like the rest of the garden style, but this will be a 4-story building with all 1-bedroom units targeted to the elderly residents. And that's pretty much my presentation. And if you got, I'm open for any suggestions or questions.
Do you have elevators in these buildings?
Yes, elevators on the elderly building, as you can see there, 2 elevators. We also have, in our elderly buildings, we always include generators as well, because it's a frail population. We want to make sure that, that they have any comfort in case of emergency. On the multifamily, there are no elevators. There are step-ups.
There are no elevators in the other one?
No, sir.
Go ahead.
I have a question on the, is the retail, is that going to be in the elderly building?
No, sir.
That's-
The elderly building is right here where my
Okay.
mouse is at.
Okay.
This is where the retail is going to be along Seacrest. Sorry. This is Seacrest right here to the west on the left-hand side of your screen. So the retail will be along here.
I had a concern that the depth of some of these retail units they put in there, they're not going to be quite deep enough. I think we're experiencing that problem over there at Casa Costa now, where the depth is not there, where it can be really usable for, merchandising.
That very same concern was brought up in our zoning meeting on Friday, and so we're reconfiguring it so that we have 60-foot bays, deep bays, 20-foot wide for approximately 1,200 square foot bays.
Okay, thank you.
Go ahead, Fitzpatrick.
To the south of it is the property owned by Hudson Holding. My understanding that with the way this particular tax credit works, even if you had more room, you couldn't really put any more units on there. There's like a cap of units for this particular kind of funding source. Is that correct?
There's a cap for unit, and there's also a cap for funding. So there's Jason's here from our office. He can speak more on that if you like.
Well, Jason Goldfarb with Related Urban. Well, there's a limitation on funding, which ultimately limits how many units we can build. That's correct.
Oh, you probably already said it, but maybe I wasn't listening close enough. How many units is this?
101 units.
101. I heard a number like you could go up to, for this particular funding, 140 or 120 or something, but if they cost more, then you really can't go to that cap?
That's correct. The ceiling typically is about 120 units. But again, if you can't build it based on the dollars are allocated, you have to build less units.
Okay.
There, Craig?
I have a question. In your proposal, how many units going to be for senior citizens?
So I'll tell you right now. Sorry, I don't know the top of my head, but I can count real quick. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11, 44 units.
44.
Yes.
Okay. I just like to say it for the record. I met with those 2 gentlemen there, but not this time, but it was a previous time. That's why your face looked familiar. Okay, thank you.
Can you go back to right there on the left side, the very lower bottom there, with a little block with a cross in it, it looks like a cross. What is that there? That little place?
Here?
No, come left.
Over
down,
here?
down, right, up, right there.
This right here?
Yeah, what is that?
That was going to be the trash area and loading zones, but that's going to be reconfigured more internal with 60-foot back ends as per the city requirements. So they're going to be more internalized, so they're not right off the exit path.
Lewis hasn't had a chance to incorporate staff's comments into this, so this is very preliminary, and of course staff's comments are more technical about where the dumpster goes, and back out area and things like that. So he hasn't had a chance to.
Plus, we wanted to get your input as well, so we can go ahead, once we go ahead and read these, reconfigure the site plan, we can go ahead and incorporate everyone's.
Right. But the director
comments.
said this morning when I met with her, she said that she was telling you all to move the entrance way up a little.
To create more, move the clubhouse.
No. So
north.
what they suggested is to take the clubhouse and to shift it up north, more or less to around here, and that would allow me to have a lot more green space in the back of the clubhouse, so that there's more area for for playground and for gathering.
The next question, it won't be a swimming pool, right?
No, sir.
Just checking, okay.
Casella?
The 44 units that are going to be for seniors, what age does that start at?
I believe the requirement is 55 years and older.
Is that correct? 55?
Yes.
Okay. I make it.
Any other questions? Okay.
Just before we leave the project, I want to go ahead and say, by incorporating the multifamily and the seniors together, I'm just saying this will give the seniors a chance to intermingle with the youth that's over there, and I think it's a nice mixture.
Thank you.
Okay. I guess that's all you need, right?
That's it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Louis.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jason.
Next item is consideration of interlocal agreement between the CRA and the city for the required local government contribution in the amount of $75,000 to the related urban development group for the Ocean Breeze East project. Is there a motion?
To approve.
Is there a second? Motion second. Any discussion?
Discussion.
Go ahead.
Under Section 2, Term of Agreement, it says, this agreement shall be effective upon the approval of both parties upon filing with the clerk of court in 15th Judicial Court and shall terminate upon the earlier of the following: final payment of $75,000 to RUDG, consistent with terms of this agreement, or 2, the failure of RUDG to obtain underwriting approval from the Florida Housing Finance Corporation. Does that mean if it doesn't go through, we get our money back?
We don't give the money up front. The money's not given. The money would be given at closing. So this is just a commitment that is required for them to submit the application.
So if they don't get the application, we're not out
No,
$75,000?
we are not out cash.
And this is the minimum, right? 75?
Yes,
Yes.
it is.
Thank you.
I have a motion second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? So the motion unanimous. Item C is consideration of the purchase and development agreement with the Housing Trust Group for properties located on the south side of Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard.
Thank you, Chair. This agreement before you is a result of the vote last meeting to go ahead and negotiate an agreement with Housing Trust for MLK South site, which the CRA owns several parcels within that area. They have been successful. Housing Trust has been successful in getting purchase agreements with 2 of the 3 private property owners within that site. And they have presented to me, and I presented them to Commissioner McCrae, the executed agreements. This document before you tonight does state that any amount that the CRA will, the price of our land is the difference between $2 million, which is our land purchase budget, and whatever they pay for the land, the CRA will net. Right now, according to them, we would get $125,000 for our property, which was a little better than 0 from last time. So that's because one of the property owners was not cooperative. So,
Question for Chair before we move. Okay, we have 2 of the 3 property owners in agreement. If the third party does not come forth, this will not stop the project, right?
no, they're going to design around it.
Thank you.
One
So
of the
noted.
two that have either one of them the Bell property?
Yes.
Oh, amazing. Very good,
Miracles do happen.
I guess. Any other questions or? you wanna look at
Mr.
anything?
Miller is going to give you kind of an oversight of the project, just to give you an idea how to lay out on Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard.
Okay.
Good evening, Mr. Chair and board members. Bradley Miller of Miller Land Planning for the record, and here representing Housing Trust Group. Also have with me Jake Zuneman, who is with the Housing Trust Group, if there's some questions for them. First of all,
Excuse me, what's Mr. Zuderman's title, with the related group?
It's a development coordinator.
Development. Thank you.
When we were here a month ago, we talked about the properties with the properties there on the screen in yellow is the CRA, and then the darker colors are the private ownership. And we had a boundary that was a little over 3 acres. And thanks to your vote last time, you gave us the opportunity to go out and negotiate with the property owners, the private property owners there. We do have Bell. I'm holding up and showing you the signed contracts from Bell and from Loran, which is Larry Finkelstein's properties. There was, you can see the hole in the donut, if you will, here, which is DJV Incorporated, I think it is. And then there's Mr. Jones, which is this orange parcel to the right-hand side. Those two, actually DJV, we're still talking to, but we decided to leave it in the area that's in white because that directly corresponds with the land use and zoning changes that you made for the property there for the mixed land use just recently. So with that, we're down to 2.84 acres, and if you apply the density, the project will consist of 85 units. And with that, we're also going to incorporate some commercial space. Ideally, what we'd like to do is if there's some tenants that it's part of the Bell property to stay there and stay in the community, that we would make that available to them. Our plan, I've let the slide show our plan here, how it incorporates into the project. Board Member McCrae, that shows how we can design around the DJV property.
Stop right there.
Sure.
Suppose you get ready for the project and DJV comes in and say, "I'm willing to sell." Let's agree. Is there any way that little piece of property can be incorporated in that entire?
Absolutely, very easily.
Okay, that's all I need to hear.
And
Thank you.
in the next slide here, I'll show you in a little bigger scale, so you don't have to squint so hard. But it does kind of give you a character where we put the buildings up on the street. You'll see in the next slide we have a common amenities between the two buildings, and the parking would be on the back side. So this shows you the plan, two buildings up on Martin Luther King Boulevard. Most likely the commercial space will end up in this corner. I do have to admit I took a little architectural liberties with this plan as a land planner wannabe architect, which I'm not. But we have a ways to go, but this was a conceptual plan to at least make sure that we can provide a development project here. And we are meeting with staff as well as what you just last heard later on this week to start going through some of those details. To address Board Member McCrae, this piece, what it would end up being is we would just be able to connect the parking through here and provide some additional parking space would be the logical solution. So, again, with that, the agreement is there. Mr. Zunderman is here if there's any details on it, and Ms. Brooks explained that they're committed to spending the $2 million, and because of the property transactions, actually, they're still committed to that $2 million. If there's that money is left over, it comes back to the CRA board for the balance.
Are these rentals or for sale? Or
They would be rental.
rentals? Commissioner Casella.
Mr. Miller, as we know, this project's in direct competition with the Ocean Breeze East as far as the 9% tax credits go. My question is, if you're not successful in getting that 9% tax credit contract, do those contracts that you currently have signed, are those null and void at that time? And
I believe that they go. You want to address it?
Yeah, so the way the contracts that we currently have with the Bell property and the Loran property, if we're not successful in the 9% allocation, then those they'll terminate at that point.
Those contracts terminate?
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
I have one other question. All right, if you don't get the 9%, are you looking at doing another project, or are you looking at still continuing? Hello?
With this property?
Yes.
I think, good question. I don't know.
Yeah. Right now, I mean, we're looking at mostly doing a 9% application there, just because of the source of funding. And so, if we're not able to do that in this round, then we would definitely look at it for the future. But it would be something we'd have to examine a little bit closer later on.
Patrick?
If the hole in the donut gets filled in, that would approximately use up all the $2 million, so the city or the CRA would not end up with any money, correct?
Correct.
Another question, who's going to manage your property?
So Housing Trust Group, we manage all our properties, HTG Management, and we're very much incentivized because of the way the 9% tax credits are given to really upkeep those properties and make sure that they really add a really nice effect to the community. So we'll be managing the property as well as building it.
How many units are we looking at?
85.
How much retail?
Probably 1,000 to 1,500 square feet.
Hey.
We're in that. We're not to that design phase yet, but that's kind of the idea we have in mind.
Okay, I'm using mental judgment. Approximately how many stores? Just break it down.
Probably maximum of 2.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, it's very conceptual, but probably 2. One of the things that we talked about with the Bells specifically in their contracts was that it's really important to us to make sure that the tenants, once we close on the land, that they will be able to, they're not going to pay any rent, basically, for the remainder until we start construction. And we've also written in there as well an option for them to kind of have first right of refusal, as we like them, if they haven't found other ways to keep their businesses going or other locations, that they can come back to the new property that we build.
Okay, and the CRA, we would not be giving any funds for relocation for Bill or?
We haven't discussed that, but we certainly have all of our economic development grants if the Bells want to move any of their businesses to another location
Thank you.
to assist them.
Any other questions? Thank you. Item D is.
Did we already approve that?
No, I think we
No.
did.
No, we did the first B. We down to D.
There was not a motion, it's just consideration there. So under D is consideration of interlocal agreement between the CRA and the city for the required local government contribution.
C is we have to move on it. There has to be a motion on that.
Okay, it just said consideration, I didn't see. Is there a motion on
So
item C?
moved. Second.
Motion is second, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed?
Hey,
Show the motion passes 4-1. I don't think we made a motion on item
On
A
A.
either. 'Cause I
Motion
thought
to
it was
approve A.
consideration.
I don't think you needed a motion on A. That was just informational. The other two are approving agreements, so I think you're okay with A.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
D was consideration of interlocal agreement between the CRA and city for the required local government contribution in the amount of $75,000 to the Housing Trust Group for the project on the south side of Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard.
So moved.
Second.
Motion second, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed?
hey.
Show the motion passes 4-1. Item E, we're all set. Consideration of expanding the scope of the north entry signage project.
Board Chair, board members, Mike Simon, Assistant Director with the CRA. The item before you is the discussion of expanding the scope of work at the area of the north entry sign. You currently are underway into a entry signage project with Collage Companies as your contractor for work done on the south and north entrance signs. The image you see above you is the median, the existing sign in front of Walmart, and the lower picture was the entrance sign at the north of the C-16 canal. Those conditions, well, very nice, Teresa. The little man in the computer. This is the south sign, the image for the finished product at the south sign there by Walmart. And this is some of the work in progress. There's been a lot of stuff underground that you can't see, but the wall is up. All the electrical is run to the wall for lighting of the sign and the trees. And this is the image for the north sign that was approved by the board, and we are now in the progress stage, as you see, with the wall ready for the sign and the pavers laid down. The bollard lights you can see there on the right-hand side for the new trees, to uplight the new trees.
Mike, excuse me, what is the estimated time of completion on that sign?
The end of the month.
Wow.
So 2 more weeks, roughly.
Okay.
That's why the idea of moving forward at this point for tonight's agenda item would be to expand the scope of the project from its current boundary, which you see in red on the screen. That is the site of the north sign wall, and about 100 feet to the north where the blue way highway marker is. That was the scope as originally designed, and having been on site now for several months, looking ahead at the FEC corridor landscape plan, which had conceptualized incorporating the north and south areas into that project, which we did not have funding for in entirety this year. We have, as staff, felt that given the existing conditions, this is a design of what you're building right now, and the limitations, that given the existing conditions of the site, that we'd like to suggest for roughly the $80,000 that it would cost to do it, we would like to suggest taking expanding the area into these images that you see now, removing that hedge line that is along the sidewalk. You can see there is no irrigation behind that hedge. It's kind of an easy view to the railroad tracks, and we've got a really nice new sign that's going to be going in. This is the area behind the sign as it exists now. Again, the fire bush hedge along the sidewalk would be removed. We've got some plant material, grass materials that are dead or dying and fairly neglected. We really feel like to complement the new sign, we really should look at this site as an entire project site and not just do kind of the donut hole in the middle. The area you see in yellow is the request tonight to expand landscaping and irrigation materials into this area, which would take us down to just about the canal to the south of the sign and to the corner of 15th Avenue there at the north side. So this entire block, if you will be done with new material, completed, a little bit bow on it when we're done. It's hard probably to see here, but you can...
I'm going to stop you.
Yes, sir.
Question. You said that we do not have the $80,000?
We're requesting the 80 to be spent tonight. So it'd be moving money from an existing line item. There's several to take it from, but my wording really was that for the roughly 80,000, we think that it's an excellent use of funding, and will really finish out this project from beginning to end, and rather than come back later with a kind of a half-done project.
All right. If we approve the $80,000 tonight, my question is, will that be completed at the end of this month as well?
No, sir.
Okay.
The entire next scope, they've added 60 days to that next scope.
Okay.
So the sign will be up. Your initial area will appear complete, and then they will be working on revegetating and removing dead plant material and putting in the new plant material on both sides over the next roughly 40. They give you 60 days, but in the next 45 to 60 days, the entire project would be finished.
Board Member Costello?
Michael, if we do approve this and this goes through, the irrigation and all, who's going to be responsible for the maintenance of this? That seems to be the sticking issue sometimes when we do a nice project and the ongoing maintenance that it entails.
I just want to say that the city manager and I discussed this, and we discussed an ILA, interlocal agreement between the city and CRA for a 2-year maintenance, that the CRA would maintain it for 2 years. That was what we had discussed.
Will it be a private contractor or city staff?
It will be private because the private already does all that anyway. The city staff doesn't do it. It's private contractor. We'll probably use the city's contractor they already have in that area, and we'll reimburse the city for that additional scope.
This item wasn't obviously part of their budget and maintenance, so these projects that the CRAs, around the state typically do are not generally incorporated into their maintenance because they're done in odd years, perhaps without a lot of connection of funding. So it's not out of line for us to do that or offer to do it if we have the funding, or if the city doesn't. Ideally, if they did, it'd be great, but they do not.
Ms. Patrick?
I'm in favor of the project. My one concern is that the plant schedule, I'm not familiar with what's going in there. Is it possible to prove this and maybe change some of those to more appropriate plants for that ecosystem?
Well, you can make plant recommendations if you'd like. This has gone through the landscape architect for Kimley Horn and the city's review. These are the same plant material we'd be using in the existing project, but if you had some recommendation you'd like to see incorporated,
I don't personally have any right now. I'd like to. I want to go talk to. I'd like to go talk to a couple of people and see if there's appropriate stuff that might do the same thing, but be what normally grows there. For instance, privet, for example.
However you'd like to make the motion is fine. I mean, we can bring back a different cost at the next meeting, and if it changes
why don't we
that
just
cost,
say it's the same cost? If it's additional, then I'm not going to fight it.
Okay. Would you mind sending those recommendations to Vivian, and she can pass them on to the landscape architect once we receive them from
I
you?
did check these, the plant schedule out, and about roughly half are native and half are non-native.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion is second. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Show the motion unanimous.
And that was for the $80,000.
Right.
Yes.
Okay.
For expanding the scope of the North Project. Consideration for lease between the CRA and DIV development for 404 East Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard, Unit A, in the amount of $12,000 for a 3-year term.
That's DJV. Okay, I have a question. And this is for staff. I talked to Vivian this morning. I just want to state it for the record. I'm just saying that for the first year it's going to be $12,000, but the second and third year is going to go up. Vivian, how much for each second year and third year?
It goes up to $100 a month each succession year. So next year we'll budget the additional monies of $100 a month additional.
So 2017 it'd be $13,200. The following 2018 it'd be $14,400.
Right, correct.
Okay, motion to approve.
Second.
Motion second. Any discussion?
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
DJV, who's do we have a name with DJV Development?
We have a few names.
Yeah.
We've actually been in talks with like 3 different people that are part of the company, and because they had contacted us about doing mixed-use development on these properties. These are the old Doris Jefferson properties, and they're all scattered throughout the heart of Boynton. And we said none of your sites are big enough to do mixed-use development by themselves. So we've had discussions with them. I have not, on this, dealt with them. Sharon Grekovic, Boynton Beach Realties, are their real estate agent. So once I knew that, I talked to her. But they seem to be wanting to do stuff in the community. We'll see if they can come to terms with Housing Trust. They're the same company. It's the same owner.
In the future, can you forward those, if you can get some names for us?
Yes.
And forward to me, thank you.
Fitzpatrick?
This is considerably more than what was last presented, and we discussed that Monday. I just like to, if you could recap that. My understanding is the reason the other space wasn't anywhere close to being built out acceptable, but the other reason is that this will provide more of a community policing kind of atmosphere.
Correct. When we went and looked at Unit A, which is the one we're suggesting that we enter into a lease agreement, was not available because they were in negotiation with a nurse practitioner for that. And so it wasn't available, it wasn't offered to us, only Unit C. And when we looked at Unit C, and the backup, there's pictures of both Unit A and Unit C, I think you can see the difference. It's quite remarkable. Unit A is already parceled out so people could have different computer work areas and things like that. And what the police chief and Lieutenant Deal and I talked about was having computers in here that are available for the residents to use for research, jobs. Kids can come in and do schoolwork. So we'd like to have a couple, 3 computers in there that are available for the community. And we want to make this a place that's friendly, that offers, help and options for their any situation they might have. It's a kind of a resource center. That's how we're looking at it. So this is already done this way, and we thought, wow, we could just pretty much go in there without too much fanfare. And it is a little more money, but it's more space too. So they wanted 15, then we went to 12, and then they accepted 1,000. So we got there.
Other questions? Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion is second. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Show the motion unanimous. Item G is consideration of agreement for services between the CRA and the Community Caring Center for Economic Development Services.
Thank you, Chair. This is, we sat down with Sherry Johnson and Dr. Lynn Allison and went through we took a stab at agreement, and then we sat down and, went through what our expectations were and what they could, realistically deliver. So this is a term for a year, and basically what they're going to do is assist small businesses to grow, start, and everything to do with economic development, training. And as you can see, the attached highlight of what we're expecting from them, so that when we do get audited, we have reports showing what we paid money for. So we're both comfortable with it. We've agreed, they've agreed, we've agreed. So this is what is before you, is what has been mutually agreed to.
Is there a motion?
I'd like to make a comment before we make the motion. This was done at our strategic plan, and it was at $25,000, and it was done by, I think, Vice Chair Casello, that we go up to $50,000, and I have no problem with that.
Okay, is there a motion?
So move.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any other discussion?
I just like to say I talked to Sherry Johnson tonight before we came in, and she couldn't say enough wonderful things on how the negotiations went with you, and you were very helpful, and she's very appreciative of this.
Thank you. They do a good job here.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Show the motion unanimous.
Since we went there, I seen Mrs. Johnson this morning in Publix, and she was buying plates for some event that they was having over at the library, and I just said we have a contract coming up. I just want to make sure that I don't miss any disclosures. Thank you.
Okay, under new business, consideration of a letter of intent from Habitat for Humanity of South Palm Beach for 2 CRA properties on the model block.
In your backup, you'll see the map that where we own 2 properties, which are directly adjacent to the properties that the city gave to the Community Development Corporation. And what we're proposing is, we got a letter of intent from Mr. Campbell from Habitat to go ahead and build the same design houses. We have a design booklet for model block. He's agreed to build it in that same style and same size and everything. And he does not need any subsidy to build the homes. As you know, Habitat has many contributions from companies that make it possible to do this. And so we think let's go ahead, because now you'll have 4 new houses in a row on model block, and it will have a big impact, I believe.
Good evening, sir. Did you want to comment?
Mike Campbell, Habitat for Humanity of South Palm Beach. We always enjoy working in Boynton Beach. We've already built 62 homes here, and we think we can add more to Martin Luther King and continue to clean up the area and improve the area with our Brush with Kindness, neighborhood revitalization, and those 2 new homes.
Thank you. Is there a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion second. Any discussion?
Can we just amend the motion to be to enter into negotiations for an agreement to dispose of the 2 properties?
Motion to enter into
Second.
an agreement.
I have a motion second. Any other discussion?
Discussion.
Go ahead.
Population of Boynton is like 70,000 plus, and it's 16.25 square miles. So that works out to 4,300 people a square mile. So with that kind of density, I just don't believe the city should be subsidizing single-family homes. I believe we need to get the biggest bang and the biggest land for our buck, and that there shouldn't be a model block program. It should be townhouses. And I would be happy to help subsidize some townhouses, but I just can't see taxing other citizens to give some citizens homes. Everybody wants a single-family home. Well, there just isn't enough room to go around for everybody to have a single-family home. So I don't think we should making a subsidized class, so I'm voting against it.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a comment in regards to that. Okay, I pass by that property almost every day, and as an eyesore, and anything that we can do, like to develop that stretch, is worthwhile. It's right across from Sarah Sims Park, and it'd be beneficial for that community.
May I say something?
Commissioner Casello?
Mr. Chair, through the director, can you explain the TIF money that we get back from this?
Right now, because we own the property, we don't pay property taxes, so obviously we don't generate revenue to ourselves. But when these houses get built and sold, now they're going to start to generate revenue to the CRA. Right now, they're not generating. These vacant lots and our vacant land that we have is not putting any money into the TIF bucket to be used for projects.
How much do you estimate that we're going to be getting back?
I looked at the Ocean Breeze houses, and I just took an average, and I figure each house is about $2,400 a year taxes. Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Merker, Commissioner Board Member Merker.
Sure. I agree and I disagree. Depending on the value of land is a factor of what type of development can go in or not go in. This gentleman has done an excellent job so far, and I think what he's proposing is right, adding on is right. So to me, my common sense says to go along with this, and good luck and make it work.
Chair, I just want to point out that the Heart of Boynton Plan update increased density in certain parts of the Heart of Boynton community, and the community agreed to that. But they did want, and they have wanted since the Heart of Boynton Plan was adopted, on the west side of Seacrest to maintain the single-family quality of life there and to increase home ownership rates. That's been a goal of the plan from the beginning. But what we've done is we have increased density both on MLK and Ocean Breeze East, almost double. And the community was okay with that. And I think that's the thinking is from a planning perspective is, yes, we need denser development. I do agree with that, and that is a major thing we need. However, we have to work with the community and so that we're not fighting the community to do redevelopment.
I have a motion and a second.
Yeah, point of order still.
Go ahead.
Thank you. I still
Merker.
like to say to the chair, since you brought that up, thank you for pointing that out. That was our goal for the Heart of Boynton when we initiated that plan, and thank you for bringing it back up.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? So the motion passes 4-1. Thank you.
Thank you.
Item B is consideration of renewal of amended contract with Waypoint Marina.
Good evening, Board Chair, Board members. Mike Simon again, Assistant Director with the CRA. The item before you is the first renewal option of the Boynton Harbor Marine and Marina Management contract with Waypoint Marine. There is a history of our relationship with Brian Smith and Waypoint Marine going back to the acquisition of the fuel dock property in 2007, January of 2007 by the CRA. Waypoint Marine was managing that property for the related group who had developed Marina Village, and I believe even the owner prior to that. Brian's history in that area is invaluable as far as the work that we have done since purchasing, and certainly his historical knowledge of existing as-built conditions is also very helpful. In 2012, the CRA board issued an RFP. Waypoint Marine was selected, and their first term, a 3-year term, has expired on September of 2015. So the item before you is to accept the option to renew for an additional 3 years. We are also anticipating, as was during budget presentation, the increased funding of $13,435 for a part-time position added to the Harbor Master Building and the slips operation. Given the addition of that new building and site, the activity level at the marina has really gone up quite a bit with the retail store inside. It's very difficult running the crew that he was on weekends and on holidays to try to manage both the slips and the fueling of boats and also the interior. So that's a direct cost for that position for the 3 years. He's also looking to have an increase each year after that of $5,000 per year, which is just under a 3% increase. I think it's important to note, or I should definitely bring on the record, that over the past 3 years, there has not been an increase in the contract. Prior to that contract, there was not an increase over the 3 years for that contract as well. So I think for a financial relationship, it has been incredibly a very good, fiscally responsible company and a very good investment by the CRA. Brian has been invaluable to this agency as far as his construction management on site with the slip construction, with the harbor master. He's essentially operates almost as a field superintendent while he is there, operating this thing while the construction is going on and answering questions right away or bringing me involved. That's stuff that's not in his contract. It's things that he hasn't done. So certainly staff would like to recommend a renewal of that option. If you have any questions.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion. Costello.
Is this something that goes out like for an RFP, like?
Yes, sir. It was done in 2012, and you have a contract agreement with him for options to renew after the initial term. So you have entered into an agreement with him with a 3-year initial term and then 2 options to renew for 3 years after that.
Okay, so we're through option 1, which was the 3-year flat rate that
Yes,
was
sir.
at 158, and now he's asking for 171.
Yes, sir. The increase of the $13,435
and that's
for the part-time.
Part-time employee.
Yes, sir.
And then the following 2 years, $5,000 increase each year.
Yes, sir.
Okay, is that a good price? I mean, I don't know. Is that a good price?
Well,
I know nothing about.
I think it's considering that the $13,000 for the part-time position is flat this year. The $5,000 for 5 employees as an increase for next year it's a 3%, less than 2.7% increase. I think it's great. I mean, it's well in line with what we're doing is within the city budgets and what have you.
Let me point out
Craig?
too that under the new under the addendum, that our share of the retail sales goes from 5 to 10, and there's a lot more.
Yeah, we get a
retail
little bit
sales.
back on
so
that.
we get some back from that.
Board Member McCray.
Thank you,
we
Mr.
might
Chair.
go above it,
Mike, you
actually.
probably answered this, but just say it in layman's terms, 3% for how many years?
Well, this year, the $13,000 for the part-time position is a little under 9%. That's straight for that position. The next year is just under 3%, and the next year after that would be another just under 3%.
So we're only looking at 2 years out.
Yes,
That's
sir.
what I'm trying
Yes,
to
sir.
get, not for the life of this. Okay.
Nope,
Okay,
no.
I'm good.
After this 3-year renewal, you have another option to
Okay.
renew with under
I'm ready.
amendments if
Thank you. I'm
necessary
ready.
Do you
or
have a
if
question?
so moved.
No.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Did we have a motion?
Yes.
Have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Show the motion unanimous.
Great. Thank you, Brian. Thank you,
Item
Board.
C, consideration of renewal of slip leases at the Boynton Harbor Marina. Is there a motion?
So moved. Second.
A second discussion?
Yes. I need to know, what are we paying now for slip leases? I'm just saying, what are we getting for them?
Per foot rate.
The per foot rate right now is $16 per linear foot for the vessel. It brings in a little over $100,000 a year in income. It has been $16 for probably 3 years now, I would say. We were at 14 prior to that during the construction of the slips, construction of the fuel dock. We have, as a owner, I suppose, tried to keep it flat until the Harbor Master building was done, where we had the public restrooms and those site improvements. But we are slightly under the average, I think, for municipalities, but not significant enough, I think, with the next project coming online and the potential inconveniences to the tenants during this project, I think that keeping it at this rate is a good ownership decision.
All right.
Certainly, afterward, I would recommend next year we would increase it.
All right.
Absolutely.
Is there a vacancy rate?
0.
Oh, that's good. Okay, thank you.
Is there a waiting list?
Yes, so there's several boats. Yes,
Several boats. And what's the biggest boat that we can put in there?
42 feet.
42 feet.
And they are varying in size. There's probably 3 or 4 of them, and then 38. There's some obviously much smaller with the boat rental businesses, but generally they range from the 42 down to a small runabout, 27-foot runabout.
And so after we finish this project that's currently going on, we're going to revisit what we get per linear foot?
Yes, sir. I would recommend it. But by then, the marina open space is done. The improvements to the road are done. There's potentially some downtime to that drive aisle and some impact to those businesses. Minimal during the summer, but I think there will be some hardship placed a little bit on that access. So I think it's going to be great. I think after that, you won't have any argument not to, I think, from a public standpoint. It should.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Show the motion unanimous.
Thank you.
Item D is consideration of CRA contribution to employees' HSA consistent with the city policy.
So move.
Second.
Motion second. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Show the motion unanimous. Item E, consideration of responses to the invitation to bid for the Northeast 4th Street parking lot and the street enhancement project.
Move.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second. Discussion?
Could you read? I think if you'd
Yeah, I
like to
think you
read that
just-
motion in
And the
naming the
recommendations
company.
to approve,
Yes.
is it Russo?
Yes.
Rosso, site development.
I'm sorry, I don't hear what you're
I hear
saying.
what you're saying.
You have to read under recommendations if you approve this, and read it that way so it's clear who's getting the contract.
We need to select who of the respondents to the invitation to bid we're choosing. And staff is recommending Rosso site development.
So move.
Is there a second?
Second.
A motion is second. Any other discussion?
Will we be presented a picture of what's going to look like? Is there going to be plantings, trees, or is this going to be just asphalt?
No, sir. There is.
Did I see that in my backup? I didn't see that.
Yes, sir. I put the plans in there, although I know
Okay.
that the schematics sometime, I hope they printed in there.
Yeah.
Well,
page
there's
425?
minimal.
Or-
There's
okay, you're there.
It should
Just
be
the
part of the
plans,
RFP.
425, 427.
I'm sorry, they were part of the
429 's
RFP
an
presented during
overview.
the budget. But if
It's
you
on page
if you look at the you have them found.
422, which it's a little hard to see because it's
Yes.
very tiny.
We're basically it's not a new construction project of a parking lot, which would involve exfiltration and drainage and a tremendous amount more money. We are taking the existing site, we're kind of scraping it down, leveling it out, getting rid of the bad asphalt, putting in new asphalt, reconfiguring the parking spaces to what you see on the page that Vivian had mentioned, 425. Is that what you said?
422.
422.
Starts.
really
You will
see
see plantings between 4th Street and the parking space area there. We're doing a bioswale. Kimley Horn has been working with Glenda, with the city, to introduce a non-irrigated experiment there with a bioswale and xeriscape vegetation. You'll see in that image as well that there are bulb outs on the corners where none exist now, as you can see from the photos earlier in the agenda item. There's restriping of the road, which currently now exists no striping. There's no middle line. There's no indication of where each lane goes. On First, going toward Federal, you'll see some striping indicated in that image as well. There's on-street parking there that has very faded parallel parking lines. It is not an overly landscaped project. it will not look in the end like what we're doing or what we did here across the street from City Hall. Right now, as you see from those images, it's a barren and a very unattractive site as it is. It doesn't mean in future years that we couldn't come back in very simply and add more trees or irrigation. We were really trying to do a maintenance improvement project versus a full-scale, new construction project there for expense purposes. But I think that you're going to find the significance of the striping and the impact of that site from what it looks like now at that 136 or 140, what have you, dollar range is far less than it would be to build a new one there.
Mike, how many parking spaces do we get out of this, including handicap?
Well, with the handicap adjustment that the city made us do, yes, it's 21.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure.
And then on
As of
street,
that
looks like there's 1, 2, 3,
have-
4,
there's,
5,
on
6,
street of-
7, 8, 9 on First, south side of First. Okay.
Yeah, we're not really adding any on site. On street. We are just making it very noticeable.
More visible.
Cosmetically, we're sprucing it up a little bit.
Yes, sir.
So, okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
Yeah, I got a quick question. So because it's like grandfathered in, I was wondering about on-site water retention, but I guess you got to do that anyway. Is that what the bioswale is?
Yes, sir. Exactly. And I don't know, again, what page this might be, but there is a landscape and a little bit more clear drawing.
432.
On the design sheet, the landscape sheet. You can see there are 6 new trees going in. There's some shrub and plant material. So it will certainly have a visual impact that it does not have now, a better impact.
Just looking at it, it looks to me like there's water runoff now, that there is no on-site water retention. It kind of
There is not. You're absolutely right. We're going to
Runs into
create that.
Gonna create
That's why we're not
Yeah.
having to do the civil drainage underneath with the catch basins and the exfiltration and all of that. So otherwise, we'd be in full blown.
Just
Water drainage and a landscape area.
Just for the record, could we, for the motion again, was to award it to which company?
Rosso Site Development.
Okay, that's the motion.
Yes, it was.
Second.
And the second, any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? So the motion is unanimous.
Board Chair, we'd also like, in the motion, the recommendations was to provide staff and CRA legal the ability to negotiate that contract for construction with Rosso, provided that the CRA legal approves it, have that executed and begin that process.
No move.
Motioner, is there a second?
Second.
A motion second. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Motion unanimous. Takes us to the Executive Director's report, the new business in the CRA district. There's a list in the backup, but just for everybody's, just because I think it's interesting that people should know that we do have businesses coming into the city. There's 14 of them listed here. I can give you a quick, really quick rundown here. Is Family Dollar Store, Health Buddy LLC, Hurricane Alley Food Truck, Dr. Sarah A. HOSN. I think it's a veterinarian thing. Is that correct? I believe. Knowlby Services, Inc., Ozzie House, LLC, Innovative Medians, Mr. Car Makeover, Peg Nutrition, LLC, Bolton Smolders, LLC, Sage Dental of East Point Beach, Transamerica Tax Multi-Service, Unique 2 Consignments Boutique, and Aon Recovery Center. There's 14 of them there, so we do have business people interested in coming into Boynton. I just think that's important.
Mr. Chair, one comment on that. With the renovation of Yachtman Plaza, we should have even more probably coming up next month.
Great. Anything else come before the board?
One last, I can't. I'm sorry, Viv. I'm chomping at the bit. I wanted to let you know that we did a final walkthrough today on the Ocean Avenue lighting project, and we were hesitant to announce it tonight in case the timers aren't correct. But the lights are all installed. They're all working as of 10 o'clock this morning.
That's the reason for the red and blue lights?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, they're working. I've seen them.
They are colored light. The red and blue matches the colors of the banners for the Pirate Fest. We'll be able to change that to red and green for the holiday events and or no color if we don't want to. But that is done and very successful.
Yes. So check it out.
Executive Director Vivian Brooks, I believe that we're supposed to go a week from tomorrow. We're going to Tampa.
Yes.
Who's all going from the board?
Commissioner Merker and yourself.
Okay, and that's a week from tomorrow, right?
Yes.
It'll be for 3 days, Wednesday, Thursday,
yes,
Friday?
Wednesday, Thursday, Friday.
So
but
everybody knows, we'll get that
you
information
have
out.
rooms for Tuesday night, so.
Okay.
They're not getting a double room?
I probably,
No,
I won't
please.
get there till Wednesday because we have a commission
I know.
meeting Tuesday night.
I won't be there either because I'll be
I
at the
won't be there
commission
Wednesday
meeting.
because commission meeting
Okay.
Tuesday night. Okay.
Are you going to be here?
Stand adjourned.